conversation. So I'm happy to be here and represent not only the local young people that I worked with, but also our partners at the national level and our national youth advocates. It's a real honor for me to be here today, also as a native Chicagoan. But today I'm actually addressing you all from Iowa City, Iowa. I decided today that I wanted to share a story actually that is very close to me. This is Raphael's story. Raphael is a young man and close family friend who experienced barriers to employment in Chicago. After months of seeking a position that offered more than a minimum wage, he landed a position as a sales associate in a mattress department store. As part of his 2-week training, he was required to visit all the city stores across the city to learn the ins and outs of each store location in the case that he was called in to fill in at another store that was not his home base. Although excited to start this new position and learn that there was a pathway up the ladder at this new job, there was one thing keeping him from making the actual wage he earned: transportation. Ubers were too expensive, and the metro and bus transit did not prove reliable in those 2 weeks of training. Without a working cell phone, the employer decided Raphael was too much of a risk to depend on him. It was hard to get a hold of him, and he did not have a reliable transportation. Raphael lost his job right before the height of the pandemic. This story is not unique. It is a story of many youths living in poverty who are a few resources away from maintaining a livable wage employment, or a few mishaps away from losing their job. What would have happened if his employer would have invested in Raphael and lent him a phone, or given him an advance payment to purchase a phone and have a running line, or offer transportation stipends to make sure he can always count on his reduced bus fare? This story highlights one of many barriers that young people face in getting reconnected to employment pathways. Employers and the workforce boards should recognize by now that it is not enough to just hire a young person who is struggling to get connected with a job. For the long-term benefit of the employer and the young individual, it requires wraparound supports like housing, healthcare, transportation, childcare, and access to technology. In all, it requires knowing who you're hiring. What is this young person going through? What is involved in their life that maybe is preventing him from showing up on time or being or providing his full self in his workplace? All of which this legislation aims to do through a $10 billion competitive grant to youth employment programs and work-based learning opportunities. Youth advocates have strongly urged with this type of strategic funding to uplift communities with the highest youth unemployment rates. We must ensure young people have a smooth post-COVID economic recovery. They cannot be left behind. Paying a livable wage of $15 and connecting youth to in-demand jobs is the baseline. Thank you, Congressman Chuy Garcia and Marcy Kaptur, for taking a pivotal step in the right direction and providing a holistic approach to connecting youth to jobs.